Like to me, what entrepreneurial wealth is the freedom of working and being your own boss. And I think that's really the key is like entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs because they want to be in charge of themselves and the business.
I'm here with Niko Lambesis. He is the owner of Camelback Lighting, as well as past owner of Aeromist. Niko is an entrepreneur who's been at it for a little while now. And so I'm very happy to have you here and get a chance to like kind of tap into your brain, get to learn a little bit about you and like where you're going with Camelback Lighting. So first off, who are you? Where are you from?
I'm Niko Lambesis. I was born and raised here in Phoenix, Arizona. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad to have you on. So you're about to launch your product with Camelback Lighting, the Novasync bulb, right? And so this is a product that you're putting out. In the past, you've worked with installments with Aeromist. Tell me a bit about Camelback Lighting and how you got that started.
Okay, well, the first company, my first company I owned was Aeromist, and we started out as kind of more contractor based, but we built our own equipment and installed it. But when I started that company, the whole idea was to turn into a manufacturer of the equipment and not be, a contractor where I can only go out and install a couple jobs a day if I'm lucky. And so I always felt like, we started Aeromist as contractors and building our own equipment, but built that into a manufacturing and became probably I think we're the biggest manufacturer of misting systems in the country. Basically have taken the manufacturing side and applied that to Camelback Lighting, where we're going to manufacture and distribute direct to the consumer this lighting system. It's a little less complicated than a high pressure mist system for installation. It's kind of more plug and play. And so even if you don't want to do the install as a customer, finding somebody like a handyman to do it is going to be a lot easier to do than some of the complex stuff that you can get associated with high pressure mist systems.
Right. So with Camelback Lighting, Fyresite, we built the website for you, and the product isn't even out yet, but it's about to launch in August.
Yeah, we're going to go to LA at a big convention, a trade show at the convention center there for restaurants and coffee people, and see what we get there. Kind of looking forward to that. It's been a long journey, and at the end of August we'll find out if people like it.
Right.
So it's always it's a little exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Just speaking with you yesterday, it's obvious that like you really have a passion for just like getting after whatever you're passionate about. You like whatever like sparks your interest and just trying to like make a living for yourself. So being like an entrepreneur, like why do you think this was like the path for you? And do you think like entrepreneurship is for everyone?
Well, I actually knew early on in college when I was not real committed to learning. I did manage to squeak through with a degree. However, it was just the fastest way for me to get out of college. And I think it took me 5.5 years and I got some kind of political science arts degree right here across the street at ASU, actually is where I ended up. But I knew when I was in college that I had this drive to just own my own business. So people say, hey, what are you going to do? I don't know. I think I'm going to own my own business. And it kind of was like, whoa, and so it just, I wasn't really dedicated to like become an engineer or a doctor or, an accountant or whatever. I think you can go to college and get some of these wonderful degrees and I just wasn't built for that. And so I like to work with my hands more. I like to work for myself more than I want to work for someone else. And I think that's really the key is like entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs because they want to be in charge of themselves and the business.
That I've seen with a lot of entrepreneurs is just kind of like being the master of your own ship, right?
Yeah, and sometimes it's not all about the money you make. It's more about that, hey, you're answering to yourself and and it's a pretty, it's pretty cool to be able to be your own boss. And if you're good at it, you can be. And so, it keeps you on your toes too, because you got to deal with the bad as well as the good.
Yeah.
So it's, you have to have some kind of leadership skills and abilities. So I don't think everybody is not going to be the quarterback of the football team. So I think everybody just finds their niches, and I happen to be a guy that fits the entrepreneur niche.
Mm-hmm. So how has that worked out for you? You built Aeromist over the course of like 20 years, and then went ahead and went to sell it. And from here, it's like a lot of people would think, well, it's time to hit retirement, time to go on vacation 24/7, time to just like relax. But here you are starting up Camelback Lighting and jumping right back into the game. So what kind of like inspired that?
Well, one of the things is I just love the product. Like, I've been working on these lights for 5 years, and it's been a long journey. But I really am passionate about, bringing some new technology to the market, and it's fun. Like it's not work. It is vacation. It is, I'm my own boss. I don't have to worry about being anywhere at any time. Now, 20 years later, right? But I don't have financial stress as like I did when I started my first company with no money and 3 kids, and you had to make it work, right? And there's no bigger stress than that to motivate you to be successful. And I think that's the other thing is it might sound corny or cliche, but if my family, having a family, really is the reason I think I am successful. Because if I didn't have to carry that load and all I had to do is take care of me, I might not have been so motivated to go as far as I did, or, you know what I mean? It'd be easier to do something else or give up or whatever. I think having a family, a young family, when I just started out, I was young, and that really, I think, helped me stay focused and keep your eye on the ball and make sure you don't make big mistakes. And you're all going to make a few, but I didn't. I had to make sure I couldn't make the big mistakes. And I think that really kept me focused and driven to be successful.
Right. So having the family, having like people rely on you, kind of put a little bit of pep in your step to like really make this thing work.
Yeah, I mean, I had to bring it home, right? So that's where it was going to come from. It was going to come from me. So I was glad to do it, and it worked out great because I have a wonderful wife, and she did an amazing job where I wasn't, the guy taking them to school and knowing their teachers and getting involved in all that stuff. I was working, right? Mm-hmm. So being able to have a team, like my family was like a team where we all weren't doing one thing, right? So that really made it a beautiful work. It worked out beautifully for me and my wife and my family. So the kids went through I'm blessed to have 3 beautiful kids, and now I have a grandson from my son has got married and had a kid recently, and it's just been I have to pinch myself, but I would say that having a wonderful wife that supported my entrepreneurship and being a business owner, knew that it took long, hard hours, 7 days a week sometimes, especially during the season, where we were crazy busy, but that all worked together because we worked together. It all worked out.
That's awesome to hear, because I'm sure there's like a lot of folks out there, entrepreneurs, business owners, who kind of maybe struggle to like figure out the balance with their partners or their husbands or wives to try and like make things work. Cause you have to kind of like spread your time evenly. You're talking about 12, 14-hour days, right? And having to come back and then just really wanting to relax and like maybe not having the time to spread around.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a pretty good run, even though they were long days. I always felt like I came home and won the Super Bowl. So being able to, supply the needs for the family and then some and just be successful at business. It really was, it had, like it just didn't feel bad working long hours. It felt good. Like, so I think that's part of what, maybe you don't get if you sometimes work for somebody else is maybe you do. I don't know. I've never really I had a very short career working for people, maybe a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. And I was really young, so I wouldn't call it the same as someone that's like 35 or something, but with kids. But I don't know. I think that's one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur is you might work hard, but it doesn't feel like you're, if you love what you're doing, it's not like this brutal day, even though it's a long day.
Yeah, it's rewarding.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about yesterday is the first half of your journey versus the second half of your journey, and in life or as like entrepreneur, inventor, like you even are. Like, what does it look like compared to like someone just starting out who really has nothing, maybe getting to the point where you sold your company and then being in the second part of your life where you have the freedom to do what you want? What would you tell someone, your younger self, or what would you say about older? When
you're 28 years old or 29, when I kind of started out, you don't think the same way as you do now that I'm in my 50s. It's just time in the saddle of life is going to give you a different perspective, during those 25 years or whatever. And the difference is when, when I started out, I had 20 grand in my pocket to put down to start the company with my partner, and he put in his 20 grand, and there was no guarantees. And we had overhead, we signed a lease, and, when you don't have money and you're young and you can go through the stress of things because you don't have as much money, because it's part of the journey of getting there. Mm. But when you get now, if I didn't have money today, I would be miserable too, right? So if I had the same situation as when I was 28 today, I would be a little depressed too. So there's that journey. But when you're young, you can go through the stress. It seems like it's a little easier and you might be more motivated to make things work too, because you don't have a bank account that says you don't have to worry if it makes sense or not.
Yeah. Right. As the young entrepreneur that you were, to start up Aeromist, right? This was starting up Aeromist. You had that $20,000 down with your partner as well. Why did you need that money, and where did it kind of go to start up the business?
Well, you sign a lease, right? So we signed like a 2-year lease on a building in an industrial center, right? So we could set up shop and build our equipment that we would install, right? So then you wanted to have some money for your overhead, and then you wanted to have some money to give yourself a check. You give yourself a very modest check out of that pot, and then the key was go out there and make something happen, right? So we started in December, and by the time June came in, we were bankrolling.
Yeah.
And then you got to pour everything back into the business when you're starting out too. So you don't pay yourself a whole lot of money anyways, because you're taking all the money that you can take and investing it in inventory and trucks and tools and welders, and it just goes away. But then you have all these assets that can make you more money. And so that's how you do it. That's how we did it. That's how you do it if you got to do it the hard way, the long way.
Right. Right.
The pay for your own way.
Grassroots.
Yeah. I had to borrow 20 grand from my dad, and thank God he gave it to me. But, it felt good to pay him back too. Mm-hmm. And say, thank you for the opportunity.
Was it with interest?
No interest.
Okay. Yeah.
No interest. It's a family loan.
Right. Yeah. That's how it works out.
I got lucky.
Yeah.
So
So then so within that 6 months, you were profitable business, would you say?
yeah, we made money every year. Like we grew every year, and our salaries grew a little every year. And by the third year, I think we got in Home Depot and we're changed a lot of things. We were doing some pretty big deals.
Mm-hmm. That's massive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that was the start of it. And then 20 years later, you sell it. What was the progression of it? I think you said at your peak, you only had like 15 employees.
13, including my
13.
partner and I.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so ramping it up from, which is like pretty fast turnaround to go from like, you must have had like a set plan of like within 6 months to be a profitable business. Isn't like, I haven't heard of too many that are like that. So I'm just kind of curious how that.
Well, we would go and install systems in our customers' houses and restaurants. So we were just a contractor. We weren't a manufacturing. We just happened to make our own equipment. And then, so it was easy when I would show up. I mean, if I didn't get the sale, it was, if someone, like we started our business with a dollar bill sized phone book ad. So who uses a phone book anymore? But, back then it was almost the end of the, a couple of years later, there was no phone book. But when we started out there, email was still kind of new, and computers were new. I don't think phones had all that good, stuff they have on them now, like the computers and the texting, maybe with texting, but not like, you didn't have a computer in your hand. But we started out with a dollar bill size ad in the phone book. And part of why we named Aeromist is I came up with Aeromist. I think a big part of it was we'd get up in the top of the phone book in the misting section.
Right.
And so anyways, when they'd go, if someone called us up and says, hey, come on over and give me a bid for a misting system, and I'd try to screen them and tell them, hey, this isn't a, $20 plastic thing that you might be used to. These are, high pressure systems. They use 1,000 PSI pumps, and we use metal mist line, and it's, it's a professional thing. And so you kind of give them a screen, tell them roughly where the starting point is financially. I think it was like around $2,000. I tell them that, hey, our least expensive system we've ever installed was like $2,000. And most of them cost more than that. So if you're willing to, like, if that's what you're looking for, I'll see you in a few minutes or whatever, I'll come over and give you a bid. And so if I got to someone's house and if I didn't get the job, I was like floored. And it only happened a few times, but it was easy because I could tell them, hey, I'm the owner. My partner and I are the owners. We build the equipment, and we're going to be here, and we're going to install this equipment, and we're going to be the ones you call if you have a problem. You're going to deal with us. We're going to take care of you, and that worked every time. So that was kind of an edge, and we built far superior equipment. So we had a story behind, our pump is better because of XYZ, and it was because we brought a Mercedes or a Porsche to the game and charged a fair price, which was a lot of times less money than people were charging for lesser equipment.
Right.
So it was easy to kind of like, people were paying for it. People want that. And
right.
So we gave great people great product, great price, and great service. And that's a part of the three things you need for successful business. Right.
The big three. What were they again?
A great product. You got to give it at a fair price, and you got to give great service.
Right.
And if you have that, chances are you're going to be successful.
One thing I kind of wanted to touch on, the more modern term that's been going around of a grind set. You heard of a grind set before?
I understand.
You can understand. Yeah. It's pretty simple, but there's a bit of controversy even in myself when I see a lot of posts on social media, or I see a lot of content out there that's kind of promoting the grind set of wake up, eat, sleep, work, just like being constantly in that like work mentality, and the contrast being like people just getting burnt out from just forcing themselves to do something. Maybe it's not working or it is working and it's just become too much for them. When you hear about something like a Grindset, like what do you think people should do with something like that? Should they be in that kind of mindset? Is that helpful? How do you avoid burnout?
I mean, I think everybody's job is a grind at times, right? I mean, whether you're an accountant and, it's tax season and you got stacks of people's, paperwork to go through and deadlines, I can see that being a grind, right? But if you love it, like my grandfather loved doing that, but he could go in the basement and turn the light on, not come up for days, and do everybody's taxes, right? And he loved the grind. And for me, I couldn't grind in an office. Like I love the grind outside. I mean, it's 110 out right now. This was the middle of our busy season in the misting business when we would do all the installations, right? This is where I was, out in the elements. And I loved it, and I could go out there and it'd be 120 one day, put it in a mist system and be happy because I'd turn this system on at the end of the day. The customer would love it. They'd pull out a checkbook or give me the money and hand me a beer and say thank you. And it was like you gave people a neat product. So the grind for me can be enjoyable. It's still a grind, but if you're not liking your job and every day is a grind, I wouldn't like that. So that's why you got to kind of figure out how you want to spend your time.
Yeah. So it's more so if you're gonna be doing the grind, you're gonna want to do something that you're passionate about. Otherwise, you're just not gonna last. I think people can last, but are you going to enjoy is that really I don't know. It can be stressful and that might not be the most healthy thing to do for decades, So, anyways, that's, I think everybody's on their own journey. I think they say people change their professions in life, maybe 3 times. They go from whatever to whatever. And that may be part of it. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, we're about at the end here, but I wanted to get to know your product a little bit more, plug it a little bit more before it comes out in August here. So the Novasync bulb, it's some high-end technology, right? How did that design kind of come about? And could you tell me a little bit about what Novasync is?
Okay. I like talking about my stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago now, I don't remember. It's going to be so long. But the concept was we're going to build these lights, and they were going to actually, the patent includes misting going through the light too. So this started out under Aeromist, and then I ended up buying out my partner when we ended up selling, and I took Camelback Lighting, and that's where I am today. But the patent we got a patent on this technology, and part of the patent included that the lights would be able to connect to a mist system. So you connect them to your mist system, and then the light lights up, and then it sprays mist, and that's how it got started, right? So then that's how we started working it, and so. But today's product, I'm not going after the misting business at this time. I'm just building lights that don't, you can attach them to a mist line, but they're not going to spray water through them. But the concept was, hey, we're going to be able to control each light, whatever color you want. And there's like 100 plus colors. But basically, red, orange, yellow, greens, blues, purples, pinks, stuff like that. And then they interact with music. And then we've got some special effects to where you can have kind of like a Las Vegas look, or you can have like a chill, toned down, lounge look. So there's like high end beat kind of stuff going on, and then there's kind of a low end groove. And it's just it's just been a passion of mine to do, and we're gonna hopefully see what the market thinks of it at the end of August. But it's pretty exciting to go to market. We are patented, like I mentioned, so it's a unique system. It's low voltage, it's plug and play, and we'll see.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see how this works out and to see some of the installs that you've been doing. You showed me a quick video of your home install, and it looks really cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's a really cool looking product. So, Niko, thanks for coming on and talking with me today. Everybody, check out Camelback Lighting. Website's up. Products coming out in August. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.